Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. I think I'm unmuted. We'll find out how this sounds when you all let me know in a minute. Let me know how the mic sounds. Can you hear me? Oh, someone says, well, here's a problem. Oh, someone can hear me. I am unmuted. I misread it as I am indeed muted. Oh, that's funny. Okay, well, great. Okay. Yeah, microphone was on the fritz. Everything happened. But happy time zone, everyone. Hello to Meow is my love language. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Limical. Hello, Door. Hello, Deoxyribo. Hello, Sams. Hello, Tom. Hello, Melby. Good. I'm glad to hear it sounds good to everyone. Let's dive into this warm-up stitch. As I was setting up last minute, decided to try out several different things, most of which did not work. And then in the process of that, had not set up the audio. And then, of course, as soon as I did, it didn't work. So, that's where we are tonight. That's how things are going. But yeah, we'll do the warm-up stitch. Let me look right now. Yeah, I think we're at 6 followers from last week, which for a minute I thought was going to be in a different range than we've done the last few times, but it is indeed the same range as before. It is, oh no, I knocked it away. Come back. It's gonna be 720, our pumpkin spice color. But as I get this set up, you should all let me know in the chat what you're all working on tonight. If you brought crafts, if you brought work or homework, what have you got going on? And what are you drinking or eating? I know we sometimes have people eating dinner or finishing up dinner during the stream. During the stream. My Texan is coming out. I'm dropping the G's. Also, let me know. So am I still recording? Is it buffering? Okay, cool. had to double check for a second. Oh no, migraine recovery. Green tea and electrolytes is definitely the way to go, Deoxyribo. I hope you feel better soon. I know that feeling well. Sarah's having dinner, Caesar salad with chicken from the air fryer. I need to get an air fryer. I have wanted one for a very long time. Sam's thought the microphone was a pumpkin. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want to happen. Sorry that there's gonna be some cables in my face also, like this. I've been working on trying to get the camera placement somewhere where I can see what I am cross-stitching. And I think if I could get the camera up here where it was out of frame, that would be ideal. But the stand I have doesn't quite go that high. And then also if I were to do that, we wouldn't be able to get as up close of shots. But wow, is it so much better when it is above my head, or I've had it really close to right here where I can't see what I'm stitching, and so having a bird's eye view is way better for me so I can see what I'm stitching, but I've yet to figure out a way to make it look okay on camera. And also, I got all these lights set up, and unfortunately all the tech stuff is covering the lights. If I could get it over here and cover this less... Where are my hands? How do I even... But this less interesting side of things here, I would like that. And so I tried doing that shortly before the stream, and it didn't quite work. So I'm going to keep working on it. But for today, this is what we're working with. So sorry that you can just see all of the cables and the tech stuff. But I can see what I'm stitching, so maybe we'll be a little bit more productive with cross-stitching today. And hey, that sounds good to me. So that's what we're ultimately doing. I say as I fail to find the hole for that X. All right, we got a lot of snacks. Ooh, a lot of tea. Green tea, blackberry sage, black tea. That sounds good. Oh my gosh, Dor, you're crocheting Audrey 2. I love Little Shop of Horrors. I bet that's gonna look so cool. Oh man, love Little Shop so much. I never saw it when it was on Broadway. It was one of those shows where they brought in several big celebrities in the cast. They kept cycling through big celebrities. I don't even remember who all it was, but there were a few of them that was like, oh man, not only do I love Little Shop, I would love to see like this character as Audrey, or this character, or this actor as Audrey, or this actor as Seymour. And I completely failed to ever see it, as I usually do for most things on Broadway. Even when I lived in New York for 14 years, I did not see nearly as much Broadway as a lot of my friends who lived there. But I love Little Shop, so that's a very fun crochet project. Okay, Tom just finished up a cross-stitch project of a cute little anthropomorphic onion. That sounds fun. Another holiday. Okay, Tom, I've got to know, like, how many holiday gifts have you planned? I know a number of us have been working on crafting holiday gifts, but I feel like you have had so many that you decided to do, and I'm really curious if you've got a count. Oh wait, did someone else literally ask that in the chat? Okay, 4 or 5 more. Okay. Sarah beat me to the question, but okay, 4 or 5 more. Finished 10 so far. That's so many. Are you making them kind of like ornaments, or you're like finishing them in the hoop? Oop, that I accidentally went too far. Yeah, curious what you're doing with them. I have finally started working on my holiday gifts in earnest. I was really like only kind of working on one, in part because I thought I might give that to someone at Thanksgiving. And I even had to start like a new database in Notion to keep track of all of the gifts and like other projects I'm working on and like live stream projects. I was like, wow, I suddenly am doing like 6 cross-stitch projects at one time, and I had to like keep it straight in my head. So I started a new database in Notion so I can track it all, which has been very satisfying. And I can't talk in too much detail about the gifts that I'm working on because they are holiday gifts, and I don't want people that I'm giving them to who might be watching to, you know, get spoiled on their gifts. But once I get my head back on my shoulders, I feel like I'm still easing into the stream a little bit and being like, what's going on? Because I was sort of frantic getting it started. But once I can think a little more straight, I might come back to holiday gift talk. I'm afraid that if I keep going on it right now, I will accidentally spoil things that I shouldn't. So, okay, I'm gonna thread the needle for our follower spool. And just in case there's anyone watching for the first time, first of all, hello, welcome. I am starting, as I do every stream, with struggling. That's the real way I start every stream. I struggle with tech, I struggle in other ways. No, I am starting with this warm-up project, which is our follower spool shelf, follower spools and a subscriber shelf. How many is in here right now? One, two, three. Okay. And so every stream we do a new spool, and the color is determined by the number of followers gained since the start of last stream. So we got a couple of followers during the stream last time and a few in between, which is always very fun. Thank you to everyone who has followed. And so this is kind of like a temperature blanket that maybe you've seen people like crochet or knit, where a range of numbers corresponds to colors that I picked. And so since we gained 6 followers to the channel in the last week, we are doing this pumpkin orange color, which is very befitting for my interests. And I finally made some like custom commands for the chat. So if you type in, I think !spool shelf, then you'll get the color code to see what the color spools are. Hi Jobo, welcome. Welcome to Co-Crafting. Yeah, I missed you all last week too. I was off doing a in-person show. A, like, physical on-stage show, not a internet show. Which was very fun. It was part of New York Comedy Fest, and I got to perform at Second City in New York. There's a some of you might be familiar with Second City in Chicago. The long legendary kind of comedy club out in Chicago, but a couple of years ago they started a Brooklyn one, and the theater company that I am an alum of, the Neo Futurists, recently started performing out of Second City in Brooklyn. They usually perform in a smaller theater, but we got to perform in the main stage for New York Comedy Fest last year. So that's where I was. So it was a very fun and exciting trip. It was a lot of fun to be back with the theater company for one night only. But I also missed Twitch. I gotta say, I've missed streaming, especially because I have been cross-stitching so much with all of those holiday gifts the last few days. And it's a little frustrating because I'm like, oh, I should just like hop on stream and like work on these with other people, but they are specifically the cross-stitch projects that I can't do on stream. So that's going to be an inconvenient thing for the next few weeks. Is I'm going to be cross-stitching so much. And yeah, like we're going to do Emerald City. You can see the pictures of that. We're going to work on the Emerald City cross-stitch in a little bit, and I have not touched it since the last stream 2 weeks ago, because there has been no time for extracurricular stitching. All gifts all the time right now. Oh, there we go. We got the command. If I don't say it's a gift, how will anyone know? That's true. I was thinking that I could stealthily do that, but I think at this point I've ruined that strategy. I saw people in real life. Yes, I did not do crafts on stage, I don't think. I gotta think about that one. I had to do some arts and crafts to make props. Not as much as I usually did back when I was like an active ensemble member in the company. I was always making all kinds of crafts, all kinds of props. I just had to do a little bit of crafting for props this time. I wouldn't even quite call it crafting. It was mostly writing things on note cards. But I feel like one of my most significant props that I crafted when I was actually in the theater company was I made 3 costumes entirely out of pumpkin. Like, carved pumpkin into wearable items of clothing for 3 people to do a unhinged sexy dance to. Rogan, I'm so sorry. I turned the captions on and then forgot to double check if they were working, and indeed they are not working. It kicked me out again. Been doing that lately, which means I should have known to double check. And testing. Okay, captions should be working now. Sorry, I did not double check that they were working after I turned them on, but we got captions now. Rogan got an ad for Wicked Part 2 before joining. Wow, how serendipitous. I was trying to think of a way to like make that sound Aussie and like serendipitical. That's not how it would be. I gotta get in the Wicked linguistic zone. Gonna go see Wicked on Thursday. Has anyone else seen Wicked this week? It sounded like we had mixed enthusiasm for Wicked last time. I chatted about it last time we worked on the Emerald City cross-stitch. Yes, pumpkin costumes. They were indeed interesting. It was a little hard to convince some of my fellow ensemble members to wear pumpkins, especially 2 nights in a row, and they started getting a little rotten and smelly the second day. But yeah, we had, what did I make? I had definitely like pumpkin like chest plate. I tried to make some kind of pumpkin bikini. I'm trying to remember if that actually happened or if people weren't into that. I made a little pumpkin hat with like some elastic, some pumpkin like butt plates, and we did a quick little dance to Unholy by Sam Smith and rubbed pumpkin guts all over each other, and that was the play. That's art. That's how I make art. Alright, so I'm gonna finish up this little guy. YouTubers Evan and Caitlin would be on board with a pumpkin costume. I feel like you or someone else mentioned those YouTubers on a previous stream, and I completely forgot about them until seeing their name again just now. So I'm not familiar with them otherwise, so you should give me / all of us a little briefer primer 101 on who Evan and Caitlin are. Because if they seem like they'd be on board with a pumpkin costume, then I would probably enjoy watching their content. Yeah, how long the costumes were used for. 2 nights, Friday and Saturday. Deoxyribo has been loving the Cynthia and Ariana press stuff. I have not really seen it this year. I'm so not that online these days. Did you know there's a new avatar, by the way? I just found out there's a 3rd avatar that's like opening soon. I didn't even know they were working on another avatar. Not that I like care. I didn't see the 2nd avatar, but I thought James Cameron took like 10 years to make every movie. So I am stunned that there's a 3rd avatar and that I had no idea. So let me know if any of you knew. Oh, also, I wanted to show new needle minder. I made new needle minders this weekend because, like I said, I'm working on like 6 projects at once, and it was annoying to keep switching. But I have to say that I had a couple of fails as I worked on making new needle minders. I gotta tighten this up a little bit before I put it on. First of all, well, okay, so let me rewind. I think we've talked about making DIY needle minders on here before. The main needle minder that I have is my waffle, which I made for my own merch. Basically, you can buy needle minders. You can also just make them from enamel pins if you have extra enamel pins sitting around, or maybe you see an enamel pin that you want to buy and use as a needle minder. Maybe you like that selection better than the needle minder selection that you've seen. Or you see an enamel pin that you really like, but you don't really wear enamel pins. You don't know what you do with it. You could turn it into a needle minder. But yeah, I felt like I needed new ones, so I rummaged through all of the enamel pins that I own, which is less than I feel like I did. I think I sort of stopped myself from acquiring enamel pins for long enough that now I'm like, I don't actually have that many. So maybe I need to get back into that. Anyways, I picked down a few that I was like, I like how these look enough that I would want to put them on my cross-stitch projects as I work on them. I would enjoy looking at them, but that were also ones that like I don't think I would wear. Like I had one that said Olympic National Park. I don't even know where I got that. I love Olympic National Park, but I don't know why I would ever wear an enamel pin that says Olympic National Park. So I was like, cool, I'll turn that into a needle minder. I picked out like 3 of them, and I cut them off with some wire cutters, wearing safety glasses while I did. If you were going to do this, make sure you wear protective equipment. Also, you should probably do it a little less chaotically than I did, which is that I just snipped them off in the living room while watching TV, and no idea where those little metal bits went. Just kind of assuming I'll vacuum them up next time I vacuum. I found one of them. Yeah. Anyways, alright, so I did that. And then I went to Michael's, and I bought some magnets. And then 2 things happened when I got back from Michael's. Number 1, well, one large thing happened with 2 causes. The large thing that happened is that these needle minders did not work as magnets. And it turns out that 2 out of the 3 that I cut the pins off of are just not magnetic. Whatever kind of metal or like, I don't know, fake metal they're made out of, they are not magnetic. And the magnets I bought at Michael's are so weak that even on the pins that I like broke the pins off of that are magnetic, because I tested them with my other like needle minder magnet, the magnets are too weak. And so then I had to return them and get some more magnets, which I have now done. But that was 2 things that you should avoid if you want to make needle minders. The biggest one is check if the pin you want to use is actually magnetic before you break the pin back off, because now I'm like, what do I do with these? Like, I took the pin off of them and they're not magnetic. I think what I might do is I could hot glue better magnets to the back and then just put them on, you know, the fridge. I don't really put magnets on my fridge, but like whatever I might use a decorative magnet for. They're just not going to work for a needle minder. Okay, I was just yapping for so long. I'm gonna go back up in the chat a little bit. Okay, other people also did not know about the new Avatar, so I feel better about that. I also have to say that I saw it in the context of a post from an indigenous activist organization, with like a petition where I think they want to get some sort of like essentially, oh, what's the word? Reparations, or just like a cut of some of the profits from Avatar 3. And I was like, cool, I like that this is how I'm hearing about it, that I like actually have not seen any of the real promotion, but I'm just seeing it from like people who are fighting for their own rights and justice. So I'm into that. But yeah, glad that other people have not heard about it, because who really cares about James Cameron's Avatar? Avatar The Last Airbender, however, is great. I have to admit that I have not watched all of it. I'm not good at watching animation, but I have a lot of respect for Avatar The Last Airbender. And most people whose taste I really respect are big fans, so that says a lot to me. Okay, so Evan and... scroll back up. Caitlin. Evan and Caitlin, YouTubers who do crafts. Some are cursed things, many are resin, lots of chaos. Oh, and every year they try to preserve a pumpkin in resin. And made a mood ring toilet seat. Wow, okay, these creators sound great. I'm just gonna load up a tab right now so I don't forget at the end of the stream again. Just gotta pull my keyboard over here. My desk is a mess of things. Evan and Caitlin. Cool. They seem great. Oh, and they're also on Twitch. Okay, awesome. Thank you for that recommendation. Yeah, Mikey. Okay, so if you have not made needle minders out of enamel pins before, just heed all my warnings. Yes, it was a needle minder tragedy. Oh my gosh, let's get into stitching. Oh, I didn't even set the counter. I totally forgot to refresh the stitch counter, but this shouldn't be too hard because we're using the same pattern as last time, and I haven't stitched more since last time, although this says I've done 1765, so we'll go for that. Oh, Evan and Caitlin also do gaming. Good to know. I do not really watch gaming streams, but that's good to know for other people, because I'm assuming a lot of people watching this stream would be into Evan and Caitlin's vibe. And I know that a lot of you who watch me also enjoy watching gaming streams when you're not watching crafting streams. So that is good to know. Did I do this correctly? I'm multitasking. And go here. And this should be 1765. But we already did our usual 19 for the follower spool, so let's bump that up. Cool, cool, cool. And now we're gonna get started on the yellow brick road. I feel like we should do. Did a little bit of the weird bluegrass, but I feel like we should just do the yellow brick road today. Brennan Lee Mulligan did a gaming stream with the drag queens. Amazing. That's okay. Markup RXP is not a big fan of this pattern, so we're just gonna have to edit a few things as we go here. Alright, so this is 726. Let's get... oh yeah, we're gonna use some thrifted floss. This was from a huge bag of floss that I think my mom got me from a restore years ago, and I have organized some of it, but not all of it. I've been trying to get it all on my preferred plastic bobbins, which I guess having a preference for plastic anything is not great, but they are much more durable than the paper bobbins. We do have an ad break coming up in about 30 minutes as a heads up to folks. Oh, I don't have a needle on my needle minder yet. So I'm just gonna get started here on the Yellow Brick Road. How exciting. I think I was probably intentionally saving the Yellow Brick Road for like later and working on this pattern because I thought it would be very exciting, but I think doing it on a live stream is the way to go. Okay. Ad starting soon. So I'm just gonna focus for a minute to get started on this while the ad goes. Ooh, I think we need to tighten this a little bit. Oh, and the camera's not on it. There's that too. Okay, we'll fix that in a second. Oh. Okay, that's good enough. So, I could actually move this down. I like that more. By the way, how is music for folks? Can people even hear it? I meant to check a little earlier on, but here we are. Oh, there we go. Good volume, Mikey says. Can hear it, and it's a nice volume. Okay, nice, good. That's as close as we're gonna get. Maybe what I really need to do is get some kind of rig where it's a bird's eye view of the camera, out of the shot, not blocking the part of the room that I actually like being on camera. Maybe blocking this part of the room, and then get like a zoom lens of like a better, which I might have, a lens that can zoom a bit closer. That's what I need to do. Never change any settings again. So see, okay, here's the thing. That would be great, and I do have like notes usually on like what was good and where to set it. But one, I use the microphone and mixer for other things in between streams sometimes, and that has to have different levels. And two, I feel like some combination of my cable or the mic just have a mind of their own and mess up sometimes. So like what worked one time isn't necessarily going to work the next time. Oh, hey, welcome back from ads. Anyone who was gone for that. Okay, so, and as I say all of this about how I'd want to move this camera around, I moved the stitching down even further so that it works for me, but that made the camera even further away, and now you really can't quite see what I'm doing here. So might rearrange that. Evan and Caitlin have a very advanced setup for streams and filming. Yeah, maybe I will check out what they do. I definitely have been, I totally just messed that up. I've been, trying to observe a lot of people. Some of it is like just what I'm trying to work with, like mostly things that I already own. And also I think a thing that people sometimes don't think about is, the constraints of the space that you're in. Like if you're just doing a complete build out from a studio, that's one thing. But when you're working from just an existing space, like I have like an L-shaped desk, so that's part of why I'm like limited in this direction, and then there's a wall, and just there's all kinds of like little things like that you don't even think about until you're sort of like trying to physically maneuver it all in the space. That's why it's been a lot of trial and error. And I also don't have a ton of time for trial and error at the moment. I have spent many hours, like literally many hours, trying to get a better setup going and figure everything out. But, fits and starts. If it were a full-time job and with a team and in a studio, all of this becomes so much easier. But that's not what we're doing here right now. Okay, maybe I will see what happens. Because if I sit back, it's not totally blocking my face. We'll try going down a little bit. Whoa, that was a lot. But like that. Maybe that's a happy compromise. I feel like that looks kind of good. Whoa. Yeah, meow is my love language. That's exactly it. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is I just keep futzing with things as often as I can in between each stream to be like, yeah, what am I comfortable with? What's working? What didn't work? Sam had to set up one webcam for an online exam in a weird position. That took a lot of time to get right. Setup looked bonkers out of proportion. Can't even imagine what you have to get. Yeah, I mean that's part of it too. Is like, it's hard enough doing one camera for a YouTube video, or sometimes doing two. But yeah, I'm working with two cameras, the live feed of the iPad, external sound. So there's just a lot of things going at once. External sound and the music, which is not that difficult. But yeah, there's a lot of things going all at once. It often reminds me of when I used to host trivia, and I would have like a huge soundboard, and had to be post-pandemic. We switched from like pens and paper that I would grade for people to this whole like software system, and so it's like running the music, doing my own audio on the mic, also sort of performing as I read the questions, but also doing crowd management and like dealing with any issue that comes up for people, trying to be entertaining. Just like, there was a lot more going on than a lot of people realized. I didn't even write the questions, and it was still so much to do. I try to remind myself that for like things that I don't have experience with, there are so many things that I do where I feel like people really don't typically have an understanding of how much work goes into it, or like how many different factors there are, and like I can like maybe get annoyed when people take that for granted. So I try to remember that when I see something and I'm like, oh, why didn't someone just do it this way, or like, I don't know, something like that. And then I try to remind myself of like, well, there's probably just like all these variables that I don't even understand, with all these like skills that I don't have, or things I've never experienced. That's not usually my first thought, but I do try to remind myself of that. Okay, I like seeing this yellow coming in. I feel like it is really popping on the camera against the blue. We got like 3 different shades of yellow that are gonna make up the Yellow Brick Road. I like that. That's very exciting. Okay. Let's go around and get an update. How are folks' crafts going? Sarah says, then there are people who leave bits of food in the sink at work. Oh, don't turn the lights off. You can't wrap. Yeah, okay, so that is a good counter. Is sometimes when you do know how things are supposed to go and people don't do them, then you can really be like, okay, what's going on here? This is already messed up somehow. No, okay, I just read it wrong. Phew. Have a good night, Door. Update us next time on your Audrey 2, because that sounds really cool. I'm into it. But have a good evening. Joe is six stitches in to the dirt of your graveyard. Also finished dinner, which is a good accomplishment. Oh man, Limical, haven't stitched in 10 days. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to check in on how your week went last week. But yeah, sometimes it does take you a minute to remember how it goes. I definitely experienced that with things like what I'm doing right now of stitching on even weave. That's why literally the second stitch that I did, I messed up. Because I was like, oh wait, I'm stitching over 2. My brain has to remember how to do that. Let's see. Oh, Sarah also just sat down to one that they haven't picked up in a while. And ooh, Tom's got pumpkin soup. All right, nice. I didn't make any pumpkin soup this year. I did last night make some batter for pumpkin chocolate chip cookies. And I have not made this recipe before. And oh my god, the batter was so good. I'm really hoping that they end up like cooking as well as they tasted from the batter. I will fully admit that the pumpkin chocolate chip cookie recipe is just from Sally's Baking. If you know Sally's Baking from the internet, she's often the first result that pops up on Google, but she's really good. I tend to love all of her recipes, and I just messed this pattern up again. Just by like 1 stitch though, so I'll go back. Was it here? Nope. Ooh, yeah, pumpkin seeds are one of my favorites. Shocking. But no, Sam's, I love adding pumpkin seeds to like yogurt and smoothies and salads. Okay, we just gotta do this way to get it out. Go away. I didn't mean to stitch you right here. Oh yeah, Caterpillar Cross Stitch is a really good resource for different techniques and like learning how to use different products sometimes too. I think I watched a video on how to use a needle threader from Caterpillar Cross Stitch once. It is a company, so like they sort of make content to help sell their mostly cross stitch kits and things like that, but they're very nice. It's a lovely little community. I sometimes feel like they're not always my, well, here's what I say is I kind of feel like they're my go-to, but then I sometimes look up other creators depending on what my question is, like what kind of tutorial I'm looking for. Like they're the one with good name recognition, I guess, because they always stick in my head. So I'll check them first and see if they've made a video on whatever it is I'm looking up. But sometimes what they cover in the video isn't like fully answering my question, or I just need to see it like additionally from another creator. I have that a lot when I'm trying to learn something, of like, as good as one instructional video might be, I need to see it from multiple sources to like fully understand it, or maybe like see something from different angles so that I can just, yeah, know how to do it in my own space or whatever. So all that to say, they're a great resource, but also I think it's always good to have multiple resources. Okay, I'm gonna open the beverage of the night. Ah, only spilled a little bit. I've been getting into the non-alcoholic beer scene. Not really, just buying individual cans at Trader Joe's on occasion. But I just had a moment when I was setting that back down where I saw where it said 12 ounces and thought that that was a 12% ABV, and I was like, what? I really freaked out for a second. Ooh, tips for keeping the fabric taut in the embroidery hoop. I do think you slightly answered your own question about not worry about it too much, but I will say, even in this moment, mine is not as taut as I would like it to be, and it is annoying me. And if I didn't have this like attached to a stand and have the whole like rig set up, I might have adjusted it already. But it's a little bit more of an effort. If anyone in the chat has recommendations, I would love to hear that. I would say for me so far, it has been a matter of trying out different kinds of hoops. So this is a Nerge hoop, which is new to me, and I think I'm liking it so far. Like, I think, excuse me, if you want to go for something similar to the classic wooden ones, I think a Nerge hoop is your closest bet. That's like gonna keep things a little bit more taut. I think I just didn't make this one taut enough when I like clamped it on. But yeah, NURGE. They come in a lot of fun colors. I have been enjoying them so far, but I'm very new to them. Like, I literally used a Nerge hoop for the first time during an October live stream, I think. The other ones that I think are probably actually better are these Q snaps. Literally just the letter Q hyphen snap. These keep them quite taut for most cloth, and you kind of tighten them like this, so that's a little bit easier to tighten than the wood hoops or the Nerge hoops if it does loosen up as you're going. But yeah, Q snaps and Nerge hoops, I think, are kind of preferred by a lot of people these days. And actually, if you like look them up on YouTube, there's a lot of people doing comparisons between the two of them. So I think there's probably some stronger opinions out there than I have right now. Would square be better than circle? That's not a variable I had considered before. Maybe. I don't know. It might depend. It also really depends on the cloth. I've had thinner cloth before that is a lot harder to keep taut, or sometimes even just like if I've been working on a pattern for months and months and months, it's harder and harder to stay taut in the hoop. Yeah, this is just like a continuing challenge that I don't feel like I have actually come up with a great solution for. Tom is switching to a project where you're not using a hoop. That's true. Okay, Limical, big fan of the Q snap. Yeah, I feel like when I first went from like the wood hoops that will come with kits, or like, you know, that I have hanging up over here. I love how they look aesthetically. How do I point at that? Ooh. Yeah, those hoops. But yeah, when I switched from that to a Q snap, it was night and day. Since switching, maybe I've gotten spoiled, or I don't know. I don't like how Q snaps look as much. Some people will do grime guards, like we were talking about last time. I think Limical was saying she has some grime guards. I don't like how those look personally, but that's like a way that you can personalize and make it more fun. There's some other thought that I had. Oh, if you use like a stand or like a scroll stand, I think that's it. Not just any stand. It has to be a scroll stand. I feel like I'm not pronouncing that well because I'm congested, but SCROLL, scroll stand. That seems to be a really good way to keep things taut. I see that method enter the chat every now and then. Not this chat of you all, but like metaphorically enter the discussion. But that's a big investment. I think a scroll stand is something that's going to run you a couple $100. That's not something that I have or that I'm like necessarily interested in at this moment in my life. But yeah, I think that would be your other option. Yeah, Limical, I might get into that boat at some point too, of being like, well, I don't like how they look, but they sure would help. Like what I'm stitching right now, I just have a bunch of cloth hanging off the sides, which actually I have just made a realization. Using a hoop with a stand, the extra cloth is not getting in my way. I can't quite show you, maybe a little bit. So I've got all of this and it's just like hanging down. I guess it would still hang down if it was in my hands. But I don't know, it's like, it's not, I haven't done anything with it, it's just hanging there and it's not affecting me somehow. Even though it has in the past. I don't know. I am presently... Oh, yes, the purpose of a grime guard. So, my understanding, I have not used them. You got all this extra fabric, and they're like an elastic thing. They almost look like what you might put on a steering wheel. You know how you could have those like steering wheel covers sometimes? And they're like fabric with elastic, and so you just put this like inside of it, and the grime guard goes around it. And so then you're all cleared on the top and the bottom of any excess fabric, because it's just like in that sort of elastic pouch almost thing that's going all around it. So that's like what a grime guard is. Yeah, sorry for not explaining that right away. But yeah, I am working on 2 unique projects right now, neither of which I'm using a hoop for. One thing is I'm stitching on something that is not like Aida cloth or even weave. I'm like just stitching on some other thing that was not made to be cross-stitched on, and there's not really a way to put it on a hoop, so I'm just doing that. And I'm actually having to fully stitch from the front. I forgot what that's called, but it's where you go... I wonder if I can... I don't think it'll quite show up, but like your hand would never need to go behind the canvas back here. So you would do like, I put it down here, but then, oh, this is really hard on even weave stitching over too. But then the needle is gonna come back up. Where is this the correct one? Would like come there. And so you're just fully doing it on the front the whole time. Oh my gosh, that's so hard on even weave. And so again, I would sort of put it in here and just go through. Nope, not that one. Just that. Nope, just that one. And then, ooh, it made the X. Poorly, very poorly. I'm not gonna employ that tactic on here anymore. Ugh, that does not look great, but I think it's correct. But yeah, I'm doing that on one project right now, which takes a lot of concentration, as you just saw. Off-road cross-stitching. Is that what it's called? What I just did? Or no, off-road is the stitching on fabric that's not made for cross-stitching. And then Joe says what I just did is called a sewing stitch. That very well may be correct, because I also feel like I saw that terminology recently and was like, I should look that up, and then I forgot. So, so that's probably what that is. Um, it is kind of tough. Oh, yeah, Sarah, that is the key. It's not so much the fact that I'm using even weave and it's small, it's the fact that I have this on a hoop. Yeah. So doing what we're calling is the sewing stitch uh, is much easier when it's in hand and not in a hoop, because you kind of manipulate the fabric with your non-dominant, your non-stitching hand, and then you put the needle in with your stitching hand. Um, it's, I mean, some people swear by it. I think when you get used to it, it allegedly is a way to like stitch twice as fast. Right now, it's making me stitch twice as slowly. So, but you know, trying it out. I was also trying to stitch left-handed yesterday because my hand was tired. My right hand, which is usually my dominant hand. And that went more successfully than I expected, but it was also quite slow. And I just got bored, so I switched back to my right hand. But the other thing that I'm doing right now is stitching on like plastic canvas, which is very fun and very satisfying because similar to what I think Tom was saying, it's not on a hoop, it's just plastic and it's rigid, so it's always taut. It never gets loose because it's just plastic and it's great. I love that. That's been a lot of fun, and that's like a nice little break when I've been staring at the tiny sewing stitches that I'm doing without the hoop and get tired from that. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go do the easy plastic stitching now. I think we were talking in previous streams about how it can be nice to have multiple projects going, because maybe you have like one really ambitious one that's going to take you forever to do, but then maybe you also have some smaller ones just to give you that little like sense of satisfaction of having having finished something. And this is sort of a bit of a similar take on that. So I think we were also comparing that to like people's reading habits, and I was saying how I frequently am just reading several books at once, and other people were like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I actually feel like I don't fully read multiple books at once, but I will kind of like set a book down and pick up a different one, and then I'll fully read that book and just read that book. But I don't know. So I like bounce around, but I'm usually only reading one for a few weeks at a time. I need to finish this piece of floss. Tom, the guy with 10 small holiday gifts, likes having smaller projects going? What? Polyamorous reader. Right, I forgot that we said that. I guess I'm a polyamorous reader. I feel like the way that I read is maybe more like a serial monogamist. I like date around, but I return to the books that I was dating before all the time. Oh no, does that just make me like a fuckboy or something? Oh no. I feel like that's what that is. Fuckboy reader. Can I even say that on... I don't even know what the rules are. I feel like you set your own rules as the streamer for cursing. One, two, three, four. There are worse things to be. Right. Let's check in on... Okay, so that piece of floss got us 34 stitches. Just in case anyone's curious. Does anyone else do that, of sort of like tracking their inventory a little bit? I find that helpful when I'm playing Lost Chicken, where I might be like, okay, I have this many more stitches in this section that I want to get done, and I have this much floss left. And it gives me a better sense of if I can make it with the amount of floss I have left. I got distracted because I saw Joe's, we apologize to inform you that your affiliate status has been revoked. And I saw it was coming from Joe, but there was still a part of me that was like, is that real? Did I just lose affiliate status? Based on the fact that ads are starting in 10 seconds, I think we can safely say that I did not lose my affiliate status by saying I am a fuckboy reader. But you know, the night is young. How many stitches do I do with how much floss? On this one we just did, it was 34. In my head, I usually have 20. I don't know if maybe on like 14 count Ada, it's closer to 20. Also, it's really dependent on how long your floss is. And even though I generally do the thing I've said before of like 2 forearm lengths, it still varies. So maybe this was slightly longer. Oh, good. Yeah, I couldn't imagine that you can't say that word on Twitch since so many gamers must. Thanks for not reporting me, Limical. Yeah, and using an app like Pattern Keeper or Markup RXP also makes it a lot easier to track how many stitches you get per floss. Snitches get stitches if you're doing that pattern, I guess. Is that what weren't we saying like last time or the time before of like, surely there are many patterns that exist with variations of that phrase? There must be. Okay, and truly, did I finish that? I did. I just have no memory of it. But I do want to try to tighten this a little bit. Let's see if this helps at all. It's a little bit better. This even weave is just so soft and thin, which is amazing and will make it such a good pillow when I eventually turn this into a pillow. But I think especially in the stand, it just feels very, I don't know, very loose even when it's not loose. Ooh, Sarah, big brain thought there. Wouldn't a cross stitcher want more stitches so it's incentive to snitch? Yeah, that might be true. Thanks, Tom. I say thanks as if I designed this pattern, but that is part of why I picked it out, is I also really liked the all of the colors. I mean, I like the Wizard of Oz. I've always liked Emerald City visual portrayals, but something about this pattern, I was immediately just like, I really like this pattern. I think I mentioned before, I saw it first years ago and knew it was a little too ambitious for my skill level at the time. And then I eventually started working on it very slowly. This was my ambitious project in the background while I worked on other things. But yeah, I think it remains one of my favorite patterns that I've ever like bookmarked. I really, really like it. Something about it just really speaks to me. Surely it can't be the fact that it is representing a beloved story from my childhood and also has a gay rainbow on it. Like, duh, I like it. But no, there is something more to the design. Because I'm very much a person who, like, I don't know, in any fandoms or, like, other interests I've had, it's never enough for me for something to just, like, reference the thing that I like. I need it to also be like a style that I enjoy. I have to like the design of it as well. Um, you know, back in the days of the old Wizard times, there was so much really bad merchandise, especially the officially licensed stuff. Just everything being in that book, that font from the book. I was not a fan. So I liked a lot of fan creations better and things that just like, yeah, had a more elevated design style. Or I feel like there are a lot of like Pride themed things that to me just kind of look a little tacky sometimes, of just, I don't know, often just employing the flags but not having otherwise having some kind of like eye for the design. What am I doing here? I see what I'm doing now. Sort of. Did I super messed things up. Always. But did I? I think it's possible that I actually messed up this blue before. Okay, so let's look here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, and then this should be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that should be 7. It is the blue that I messed up. It wasn't my fault tonight. This is last week's fault, or 2 weeks ago's fault. There should be one more blue. Also, I didn't even mark these off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did not do 7 there. Okay. Yeah, past me has a lot to answer for sure. But okay, so I just got to keep that in mind as I do this, that I had messed that up. 1, 2, 3. That's still a half stitch. Stitch, stitch. Cool. That's true. It's not a mistake. I have so much more of that blue that I need to stitch right beside it. So you're right. It's not even a mistake. It's just something that I need to do next time. Or sometime. Unlike everything else right now, there's no rush on this. We're just enjoying ourselves. Okay, but this is gonna go over one more. I meant to rewatch Wicked before going to see it this week. I have only seen it the once, like the movie, one time. I guess I've only seen the play one time too, the musical. But yeah, so I don't super remember the musical. I've only seen the movie once. Don't super remember it at this point, since I saw it in theaters last year. So I'm really just going in, I don't know. I was about to say I'm just really gonna raw dog Wicked, but that's not what I need to say. But yeah, maybe I should should I like read the Wikipedia page or something? I don't know. I feel a little unprepared. I swear I'm not a fake fan. I'm just not a huge Wicked fan. I like it. I'm very excited about it. I think that it's one of the best Oz adaptations that's ever been made, the Wicked movie, that is. And like my Oz enthusiasm always comes more from the original books and the 1939 MGM film than it does from Wicked. So like I get so excited that other people are excited about Oz right now. and I am not overly familiar with the Wicked musical. So I don't want you to think that, like, when I've talked about Wicked or Oz stuff, and then admit right now that I've only seen the movie once and don't really remember it or the musical, like, it's not that I've been a poser on my interest in Oz stuff, it's just that I am coming at it from, like, the original books, not from the musical. But I appreciate the musical. Ooh, cool Elphaba emote there, Mikey. Crowdsourced summary of Wicked Part 1. I was about to say, so long as there's no one who is watching out for spoilers, but I feel like anything that happens in Part 1 is fair game. We just don't want to spoil Part 2. I say for myself because I think it could be kind of fun to not really know what I'm getting in for. Because I don't really remember from 2004, which is when I saw the musical. I was about to say on Broadway. I didn't see it on Broadway. I saw the national tour. Going in without refreshing my memory would allow me to judge how well they made context with it. Yeah, like how well it was made for people who are not familiar with, like, the musical and the book. Yeah, I guess I'm familiar with the book, but yeah, I think that's really cool. I was always a little interested in that with, like, the Harry Potter movies. Like, my brother never read them, but he would go see the movies, and I'd be like, okay, did you understand any of that? Sometimes the answer was no. Melby, yeah, that's exactly it. It was entertaining to see all the takes on the first movie from people who did not know the entire story. I also thought that was cool, and realized that I could kind of fall into that category, and I was like, I think that this would actually be really fun to experience Part 2, not knowing really what's coming up. Like, I bet as the movie goes on, I'll be like, oh, I think I remember or kind of know what's going to happen. But to kind of go in it almost without knowing, like, that's so rare these days because almost all of our movies are based on prior source material or, like, parts of franchises. It's, like, so fun to have that movie experience where you don't know what's going to happen. Okay, Elphaba's green. She likes to defy gravity. Jonathan Bailey's hot. That's all we need to know. See, and that much I think I remembered, or I could pick up just by watching a quick clip. I feel like I finally have a read on who Jonathan Bailey is. I did not know who he was before Wicked. And I say that meaning, like, I heard his name all the time, and I knew he was in Bridgerton, I think. Maybe I got that wrong. I still have yet to watch Bridgerton. I definitely, though, thought that he was black, and so that was a surprise when I saw Wicked. I was like, oh, this Jonathan Bailey guy is white. Okay. And then I found out, like, last week that he's gay? Maybe? I don't know if I heard that right. Maybe it was someone else. And I would have to say that if you showed me a picture of Jonathan Bailey out of context, I probably would still not recognize him. Oh, this is funny. Automod is not letting Tom say gay. Okay, I allowed it. This isn't Florida. You can say gay in the chat. But he is gay. Okay. I definitely do want to watch Bridgerton. That's been on the list, like, since it came out. Ariana Grande, good at Glinda Squeak. That's the other detail that those of us going in without remembering Wicked need to know. Ooh, Sarah, that is a lovely comment. Sarah said, my favorite way to go into books and movies is just someone who has seen Reddit saying, based on stuff you liked before, you'll like this. I feel like that's like a form of love language, to recommend things to someone, but in a genuinely good way that's specific to them. Like, not just I want to share my interests with you and I care about this, so I want you to watch it, but like no, I've really thought this through, and like I'm very familiar with what I'm about to recommend to you, and I thought of you a lot as I read or watched it, and I'm intimately familiar with what your interests are, so I very confidently want to recommend this to you. I love that. I think that's such a beautiful thing when that can happen. Jonathan Bailey was the first openly gay man voted sexiest man alive? That's wild. Wow, I'm failing the community by not remembering who he is ever. He really just like escapes from my brain when I don't see him again. It's like he's out of sight, out of mind somehow. Oh, okay, so Sarah got that from CGP Grey. Nice. But not liking to know the details before going into something. I do like that sometimes. I am very much someone that I'm like, oh, this was based on a book. Let me read the book before I see it, because I just get really excited. I can be very completionist sometimes. But yeah, it is such a joy to sometimes go into something without knowing, especially if it has been recommended in that way, where you can be like, okay, I've been told I would like this by someone I trust, not just by like something being overhyped in the culture. And so I will go into it without asking any questions. I might have messed something up somewhere. We're just kind of gonna go with it. I lack object permanence for J-Bay specifically. It's so true. I don't know what it is. It's really strange. Fellow travelers. Foxco, thank you for joining me in this not remembering Jonathan Bailey's face curse that we apparently share. I'm so glad I'm not the only one. Nobody brought the books to the theater thinking you would read along. I'm laughing at that, and yet, like, I brought the audio tapes to the first one only because we got there so early that it was like, oh, we're gonna listen to these while we wait for the movie to start, which was also strange. But yeah, thinking you would read along is great. Jonathan Bailey was also in Heartstopper? Has he just been in, like, every show recently? What the heck? I know he didn't come out of nowhere, because he had a lot of success in Bridgerton, like, a few years ago, and had been a very hardworking actor for a long time before that. But when you start popping up in like everything, then it sometimes can feel like, wait, where did this guy come from? Okay, we're gonna do this correctly on this row. I gotta get a little close to it. He plays a hot author professor type. Okay, I'm into that. I do feel like Jonathan Bailey is a little similar to what Sarah was saying. Not that anyone has, like, recommended him to me, but I feel like a lot of the roles he's had, or the, like, shows and movies and stuff he's been in, are similar to my interests. Like, I should be really into him. I think that's part of why I'm like, what? It's so weird that I never remember what he looks like or who exactly he is, because he seems like someone that I would be like obsessed with. And maybe if I were like younger and still had those kinds of like behavioral tendencies, I would be. I feel like I don't like crush on celebrities or like people in media in the ways that I used to, and I'm unclear if that's an aging thing or a like gender contentment thing. Like I think a lot of it like would feel like crushes, but it was often just gender envy. And I think maybe I don't feel that as much these days because I'm just kind of like chill and content with things. But I think it's probably also a little bit of an age thing. Ooh, I have found where I messed things up on the previous row. And so now I can just keep on chugging. And no one's ever gonna be able to notice that mistake, except for all of you watching if you like zoomed in and have some eagle eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More than wanting to meet certain famous people, I just want to be in the room and listen to them talk to other people I find. Yeah, that's true of like, I think sometimes when it's like, ooh, this like, you know, actor that I like knows this author and knows this YouTuber, and then I like getting to see them all talk to each other, it can be mind-blowing. Or just listening to them talk individually, but definitely when you like find a time where they've sort of like collaborated or find out that they know each other, that's when my mind blows sometimes. Aesthetic appreciation for celebrities is a good way to put it, Tom. But yeah, I feel like I don't even have that as much as I used to. I used to hardcore have that back in the day. And I just find myself not... Yeah, I don't know, I feel like that's a very recent realization of like, oh, yeah, I know. If someone were to ask me either like my celebrity crush or my like gender envy, whoever, like I don't think I'd have an answer off the bat for either of those. Yeah, that is your life as a romantic person, Foxco. Yeah, not having an answer to those questions. Okay, Melby's with me as well on the like as you age. It's not the like fan crush feeling. Yeah, I feel that. You just want to buy him a coffee and be like, thanks for making that cool thing. Yeah. Brendan Lee Mulligan and Stephen Colbert in a room talking Tolkien. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Has Brendan Lee Mulligan not been on like any of those late night interview shows? Colbert feels like the one that he would have been on. But of course, time is running out for that, and I doubt they're going to book Brendan Lee Mulligan for the remaining weeks when they're going to have, you know, people like Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep on. Okay, finishing another floss. Oh, and getting a little close to the hoop. It's going to get a little harder to finish off the floss. Do you call it finishing off? Is it casting off? Casting off is in knitting, and I don't remember what it means in knitting. But what do you call it when you're just doing the little knot? I should know this, but it's escaping me at the moment. Brendan Lee Mulligan started working for one of the late night guys? That's interesting. Okay. I feel like just for fun... Oh, no, that's going to be annoying. Never mind. I was going to say just for fun, let's do one of the other shades of yellow on the Yellow Brick Road, but to be honest, looking at it, they're a little bit more sporadic than I would like them to be. Like, if you see the dash and the star, I don't think that's actually going to be fun. I think I want to keep going on this shade of yellow that's like most of the pattern, or most of the road. I love how Tom just put it. The lack of gender envy is a byproduct of transitioning. I don't have to wish I could be someone else because I get to be myself, which is pretty neat. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I've been feeling. Although I do feel like were I to watch an Avengers movie again, I would have the like I don't even know if it's quite gender envy, but I always watched those movies and would just immediately be like, I need to go lift weights. like nothing got me more in a like zone of wanting to work out more than watching Avengers movies. And that was something that I sort of realized over time. I was like, I don't feel like I have a crush on any of these like men. Like nothing about their like personalities or anything appeals to me. I don't even know that I'm exactly attracted to them, but I can't stop watching. And then it finally hit me of like, oh yeah, no, I just want to have abs like they do. That's why I'm watching this. Okay. Sounds like Brennan Lee Mulligan was maybe an intern on The Daily Show. That's very cool and makes sense. Kate McKinnon to talk carpentry woodworking with Nick Offerman. Does Kate McKinnon do carpentry and woodworking? Because that is news to me, and news that I am very into. I also wonder if she made an appearance at all on that, like, forgot what it was called, but it was kind of like a crafting show that Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman hosted together. I don't know if celebrities were on it, or if it was, you know, regular folks. That would be the only thing I would think of where they've maybe talked about woodworking before. Brennan Lee Mulligan winning $50,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is something that I actually feel like I've heard about, despite the fact that I actually know very little about Brennan Lee Mulligan. So that has penetrated to the mainstream somehow. Making It might have been the name of the Amy Poehler Nick Offerman show. Yeah, that kind of sounds right. The third one here. But yes, Avengers muscular man team. Oh, hey Wolf Shadow, thanks for the follow there. As we talk about muscle envy of the Avengers. And also all of the mainstream appearances of Brennan Lee Mulligan. That work is, let's go there. I should, Tom, give up that I will never have an Avengers physique. And I think I have given up on that in most ways, but not entirely, if I'm being honest. I think I probably need to stop drinking beer and eating cookies all the time. I feel like Chris Evans probably doesn't do that when he's getting in shape to be an Avenger. Unrealistic expectations for men. We just want to have our tasty beverages and our delicious cookies. Mae Martin said in an interview that the makeup crew contoured their arm muscles. Do you mean like on Mae Martin for a show that they were in? Or Mae has that like fun factoid about the Avengers? Wow, Kate McKinnon's talked about how she's into woodworking and growing her own food in interviews. I love that so much. I love Kate McKinnon so much. And I love that. Oh, I'm seeing up now. I missed some stuff in the chat. Okay, so you'd settle for Mae Martin biceps. Yeah, Mae Martin was like looking quite fit in Wayward. Yeah, and good fact check here from Rogan on how most people have whole teams helping them get that physique. Yeah, when we're talking about like Avengers style, that's literally like they have an entire team of people and it has become their like 9 to 5 job for a year before shooting to get into that kind of shape. They have a bunch of like, nutritionists and everything, and then anytime they're doing a shirts off scene, they've like dehydrated themselves for 2 days before doing it. Like, it's completely unhealthy and not at all how they look regularly, and totally not attainable for someone who can't make their entire life, like including work, being looking like that. So, good fact check, or like reality check rather. Tom says I need to look up a contouring tutorial. And yeah, okay, it was for Wayward. Okay, so May looked great in Wayward and apparently had some makeup doing some contouring. I love that. And also makes me feel better to know, because I was, yeah. Cookie a day, says Melby Toast. I'm into that. Also, very cool that you're a professional baker. I've only met a handful of professional bakers in my lifetime, and they've all been very cool. Slash, I just really like baking, so I think people who are particularly good at it and are able to do it professionally, it's like, wow, that seems so cool. I come from a big baking family, so I have a great appreciation both for baking itself and for freshly made baked goods that perhaps someone else made. Kate McKinnon was talking about DIY stuff recently, and maybe it was on Good Hang with Amy Poehler. Says Meow is my love language. I have listened to a handful of episodes of that podcast. I have not listened to the Kate McKinnon one, but I should. Oh, Melby, that is such a good point. I've seen that before. Of one of the most noticeable differences in Hollywood's change in attitudes towards men's physique is Wolverine's body from the first to last movie, and that is so true. Definitely recommend folks look that up because it's wild. It's like, I can't even quite think how to describe it, but just like the level of ripped that he was in the first movie to the last one is just completely ridiculous. I did last night watch the episode of Parks and Rec where it's like the season opener after Chris Pratt had got cast in the Marvel movies, and so he as a human had lost a lot of weight and gotten really fit, and they just have this like slightly throwaway line where his character says to Adam Scott's character Ben Wyatt of like, yeah, I just like stopped drinking beer and I lost 50 pounds in a month. And Ben Wyatt's just like, how much beer were you drinking? And it remains one of my all-time favorite lines to explain an actor's like physical transformation for a role outside of the TV show. I think it's very funny. Obviously, Chris Pratt, problematic in some ways, but that line kills me. Oh, wow. So Tom tried looking up the Wolverine thing, and Google knew that's what he wanted, because it's a big enough discussion. I feel like another thing that I've seen is, like in the 90s and the aughts, the people that we were supposed to think of as like fat or chubby or ugly in some ways, and it's like you look at and it's like, what? Like, did anyone actually think that? I think they did at the time, but it's like it's wild. So I guess that's kind of the opposite actually of the Wolverine thing. But yeah, I've seen that a lot. People will post something from like, you know, some 90s rom-com and be like, this character was made fun of for being fat. And it's like, what? Yeah, prefer the original one. I think a lot of us can agree with that. Okay, Melby, I almost said Bridget Jones's Diary, and then I couldn't exactly remember because I haven't seen it since like the 90s. Yeah, Bridget Jones's Diary is a great example of that. I was also thinking of Hugh Grant's love interest in Love Actually. It's wild. Is Hugh Grant in Bridget Jones's Diary? Is this a Hugh Grant adjacent problem? Should we blame all of this on Hugh Grant? I like Hugh Grant, but I also sometimes like absurdly blaming things on people who are not at fault. Oh yeah, like a woman can't be attractive in a movie until a man takes off her glasses and takes down her ponytail and tells her she's beautiful. Like the One Direction song, You Don't Know You're Beautiful. It's very silly. Yeah, Anne Hathaway in Devil Wears Prada. Even Anne Hathaway in Princess Diaries to an extent. Like, I think they did a decent job of just making her awkward in her personality a little bit more than like necessarily saying that there was anything about her that was ugly. And like she even in some scenes seemed to like how she looked. Like she didn't fully love her transformation at first. But even that, yeah, like pre-transformation Anne Hathaway in Princess Diaries is like she is not an ugly nerd. I mean, I don't want to like judge anyone as being ugly. We're in dangerous territory with that kind of talk, I guess. But to continue with what we're saying of just like, okay, she was gorgeous. You're trying to make Anne Hathaway ugly. It's not gonna work. Yeah, I think that's very true, Sarah. The like self-consciousness that people have because of what they've been told or what these movies with this kind of representation tells them. Ooh, I like that. One topic says, remember that you may not be your type, but that doesn't mean you aren't someone else's type. Wow, okay, that's gonna stick with me. That's pretty deep. Oh my gosh. Also, it's about 7:45. How are people's crafts going? I'm just double checking something unrelated really quick. So everyone let me know in the chat while I do this how your crafts are going. How's your progress? More dirt. Okay, also, Joe, I gotta admit, when you said your graveyard thing earlier, I wasn't entirely sure what you were talking about. I can't remember if this was something you explained in the past. I am curious about your project you're working on there. Oh yes, Sarah, you were asking if anyone else has to craft around pets. Not a thing, not a challenge I currently have. But I feel like crafting people and like pet people really overlap a lot. Oh, Tom. Don't you still have 4 or 5 other gifts to work on? But now you're looking for another one? Ooh, Melby, block printing. I want to get into block printing. I've done it like with someone else who set it all up for me, but I haven't done it myself, and I think, excuse me, I think I would super like it. I'm big into like stamps for making my own holiday cards, so I think there could be some cool strategy there. Okay, so the Graveyard Project is a little ghosty Pokemon who's living in a graveyard. Felt more relevant before Halloween, but here we are. I mean, hey, I'm gonna bring back that Sleepy Hollow pattern at some point. I have often had Halloween and Christmas mostly, but like, yeah, other holiday patterns that I don't finish in time for the holidays, so you just keep working on them. Oh, you're trying to decide which gift to work on next. Okay, gotcha, Tom. That makes more sense. What was I about to do? Oh, I was gonna update the counter. Okay. Back to that real quick. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, wrong. I have too many programs open. And I never did this. It is very fun to look through patterns and pick out your next pattern. Overwhelming sometimes. Wolf Shadow, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Working on a cross-stitching holiday. Ooh, Christmas stocking. Oh, your mom did them for her generation and yours, and you've taken over for the next generation with the birth of your cousin's baby. I love that. Is it like a full coverage kind of stocking? And if so, are you finishing before Christmas? Like, have you been working on it a while? I maybe want to make those one day. What I did last year, because I hosted Christmas for a few family members last year, was I just like bought some of those like really typical like red, not like velour, whatever material, you know, that like Santa hats and some stockings are. Like red and had the white bit at the top, and I just used waste canvas and did little designs of our names in like kind of Christmassy font with different little Christmas motifs and symbols for each one of us. And I like how those turned out, but like they were cheaper stockings, you know, they're not like high quality ones. So I don't know if I want to do a full coverage pattern like I see often for cross-stitch stockings, but I think one day I do want to do some kind of like nicer version, more involved. Thank you. I like how the stockings turned out ultimately, but they're not going to hold up that long. And I just want to do more and better, even though these stockings are pretty good. They will do for the few years until I actually get around to coming up with something better. When I was growing up, my mom, who was an excellent seamstress, she did like a felt thing. So it was, our stockings were made with like all kinds of different felted designs on them. Not really sure how to explain that better, but I really liked that effect. I thought they looked really cool. Mostly full coverage for Wolf Shadow's stockings. Group of penguins dressing a snowman. Nice. That sounds super fun, and good for you picking something that does have some white on it that you don't have to do. Congratulations. I've got a pattern right now that has a lot of white, and at first I was like, oh, maybe I can just skip that, and then I forgot that like what I'm stitching on is not white, like it often is for just Aida cloth. I was like, oh no. So I have a lot of white to do. I think I'm gonna have to even buy more floss. I already bought a second skein. Skein? I always forget how to say it. But I might have to get even more. I already forgot what I looked up. But I think, no, I know what okay, I'm good. We're all good here. There is a Cowboys game starting at 8 o'clock. So we won't go 2 past 8, and that's part of what I was just double checking on. Was my ability to watch it on DVR on a delay. So I can keep stitching with you all for a little bit, and maybe so we can raid someone. We'll see. Also, while I'm discussing housekeeping, I will also not be here next Monday. I am very sorry. Got holiday plans are starting to happen. But fortunately, so far, I think most of my Mondays in December up until, like, probably Christmas week, I should be around. And maybe we'll do so. I said this last time, and it probably won't happen in November, but maybe do some bonus streams here and there, potentially. I think that'd be fun. I really wanted to do a whole bunch of, like, Christmas, like, Stitchmas streams, but I don't think that's quite gonna happen. I mean, I will totally, like I did for Halloween. We'll go all out for, like, Christmas fun, but I don't think I'm gonna do, like, a whole bunch of extra streams. But maybe next year, once I've, like, you know, got everything figured out a little bit more in the groove with things, it might be fun to do something like next year, do like the 12 days of Stitchmas. That's what I was wanting to do this year, but I don't think I'm quite ready. And, like, it's been a weird year. It's been a weird fall. December, I think, is going to be a little bit easier for me because I have a little bit less going on, but, like, also it's December and so much stuff comes up. I think I kind of mentioned before, but I like started a new work gig, and it is eventually going to be, like, more stability in a schedule than I've had in many, many years, and I'm so excited for what that means for my life generally, but also what it means for, like, being consistent with Twitch and being more consistent with YouTube and writing another book. But it's all very new, and I still have a lot of, like, other lingering commitments that I've been wrapping up and stuff like that. So I'm like, I am getting the mental benefits of newfound stability, but I am not, like, practically there yet, schedule-wise. But it's coming, and I'm very excited for that. And so it's my long way of saying that sorry that I've been going every other week with streaming, but I'm looking forward to continuing to incorporate it as a part of my regular schedule going forward, and maybe doing bonus days here and there. Ooh, okay, Wolf Shadow's Ada has holographic threads. Huh. That's really cool. I don't think that I have seen that on Ada Cloth before. Like, I think I've seen it advertised, but I don't think I've seen it in person. Trial run of 12 Days of Stitchmas in July. You know, Joe, that's actually not a terrible idea. When I hosted trivia, the bar that I hosted at liked to do Christmas in July. So, I don't know. Yeah, that's something that I got used to doing. Maybe I should. I think we'll see. We'll see how life goes. We'll see how streaming goes. I think there are some ways that July might be busy for me next year. Maybe not. Ooh, Sarah, you've got a few of the holographic Adas as well. Do either of you remember, like, what they're called? Or if I just looked up, like, holographic Ada cloth, would I find it? Rogan, yes, that is exactly what my challenge is going to be. Congratulations to you having a more steady schedule since September. And it is, yeah, I am already feeling that on, like, oh, I'm trying to just squeeze in all of my, like, personal, like, life admin stuff, but then trying to squeeze in the creative work too. That's the balance I'm gonna need to find. It's so real. But I'm feeling optimistic, but also trying to allow myself this like transition time and trying not to put too much pressure on myself right now. Like I had a YouTube video that I really wanted to do for Trans Awareness Week, which it is right now. And I even was like, and like here's the reel that I'm gonna do to promote the video, and here's this like live stream that I'm gonna do around. And then the Halloween video came out late, and then I had an extra unexpected trip that had to happen, and I was just like, this is while I'm like starting this job, and I was like, this is not A, gonna happen at all, but B, like a good pressure to put on myself. So gonna try to do that video by the end of the year, like before Christmas. That's my new realistic goal for myself. And I worked on it a little bit today, so it's happening, or it's in motion. Iridescent Ada. Oh, also, hello. You're coming all the way from Australia. Very cool. Iridescent seems like that's probably what they call it everywhere, though. I'll look up Iridescent Ada. But yeah, trying to give myself some grace and not put too much pressure on myself, because there's always ways that life is going to put pressure on you anyways. So, you know, why add the pressure of your own making, which is something I'm very good at doing and do all the time, which is why I have to think about not doing it, because I always tend to do that. When I was a freelancer for many years, and I still freelance in some ways, but my friends would often joke like, wow, your boss is such a dick. Why doesn't your boss ever give you time off? And like, because my boss was me. And I was not being a good boss to myself, was their point. Let's restart the music. Oh, the music's not done. That was just a quiet track, I guess. Okay, I gotta decide where to go now. Probably just right here. We'll go over here. Yeah. Yeah, no good to feel burned out before the things really get started. So true. Ooh, okay, more info on the iridescent fabrics. At least 2 of them are from A Picture This Plus fabric. I have not even heard of that. So that's awesome. Something new to check out. Is anyone in the chat a gardener? I'm gonna try to crowdsource information if so. So let me know in the chat if you're a gardener at all. I feel like there's overlap with crafters and gardeners. Melby, I knew I could count on you for this. Okay, Midwest knowledgeable. No, that's fine. So this was my first year, like, planting things in the ground. Since I've been in charge of my own garden. We, planted as kids. And most of what I planted has now died because it's been cold and, the growing season ended for the most part. And like, I guess I'll take a lot of stuff out and like compost it. I heard about maybe leaving some of the roots just for like good nutrition for the soil. And maybe like planting some kind of cover crop again, just to help with the soil. But I'm curious, like, what do people usually do? Is that kind of what you do? What do people do for their gardens in the winter? And I think Midwest actually is helpful because like some people in the South just like keep growing other things. And I know there's like winter lettuces and winter squash, and maybe I'll do some of that. But even those, I feel like you need a cold frame or something for, because like it's gonna get snowy. Everything will just get covered in a foot of snow a couple times this winter if I just leave it out. Oh, iridescent cloths are made in Europe. Yeah, right before the like first round of tariffs or first talk about tariffs or whatever, I did hear a lot of people saying like stock up on DMC, stock up on like different crafting things. And I did that a tiny bit. But it's also been hard to like make a strategy for stocking up on things that might get affected by tariffs because things keep changing every day. Okay, Foxco's advice is to pull out stuff that's done and put raked leaves on top of the soil. That's good. Could do that. I got a lot of leaves. Yeah, like I grew up in Texas, so I don't really remember what we did, but we definitely didn't have to like care about snow that much. Ugh, I love seeing this little curve of the yellow brick road come in. Do you ever do that when you're like working on your cross stitch project, or any project that's made up of lots of tiny stitches or knots or what have you, like you get so focused on the little piece you're working at, but then every now and then you just like take a step back and you're like, wow, look at that. Look how that's turning out. Look how it's shaping up. Oh, Never Ender, thank you for the follow. Thanks for joining the stream. We're just stitching away at the Emerald City yellow brick road here. I gotta decide how much floss I have left and what my strategy is. Ah, undid that one. Oh good, more gardening advice from Melby. Okay, usually pull out things like dead tomato and bean plants. I have those. I have dead tomato and bean plants. Harvest the last of anything underground. I did that. I harvested my carrots. Oh, and if you have any tomatoes that aren't frostbite squishy, set them in front of a window. No, my tomatoes are all dead, but that's good to know for the future. Oh, Sarah takes progress photos. I've never done that as much as I like do other things. I take progress photos of plants a lot, which I feel is very helpful. But yeah, I feel like progress photos really can give you such a good sense of satisfaction. I try to remember sometimes to take like before and after pictures, even just of like household cleaning, like when it's a deeper clean. It can really be like, because there's a lot of chores where it's the kind of thing that people don't really notice if you do it, but they might notice if you don't. Or like you can do it and it might still look like you didn't really clean anything. And so just taking a little before and after photo for yourself can be helpful. To just be like, yeah, I did actually do something. Yeah, letters coming together to form words in cross stitch, very satisfying, very satisfying. Ooh, Pink Lemonade, speaking my language with a tracking your progress in Notion. That's where I built my crafting progress database as well. But I don't track it like by stitch counts in Notion. I think because this app that I'm using tracks stitch counts, so I don't feel the need to. But I track so much in Notion. I love that. Okay, Sam's mom grows zucchini and aubergines and leaves the leaves on top of the gardening beds. Okay, so it's sounding like I maybe don't need to do that much. Stored over winter. Dahlias need to be dug out and stored over winter somewhere. Good night, Sams. I hope you get some good sleep before you have to get up early. Oh, I also just saw the time, and I should probably wrap up myself soon. I was wanting to kind of finish this piece of floss, but I should probably head out fairly soon if I can figure out what I'm doing here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes, good night. Thank you for some of the gardening advice. Enjoy your night. Thank you to everyone for the different pieces of gardening advice. I knew there would be some crossover. I knew that crafty people often like gardening as well. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Crossover. Ha ha ha. Yes, very good. Well done, pun. I feel like we've had a couple of good puns tonight. It wasn't really, not exactly a pun, but I liked the off-road cross-stitching comment at one point. Oh no, there should be another stitch here. I'm gonna snooze these ads. Oh no, I was too late. Shoot. I was gonna try to skip this last ad break. I am sorry to the people who cannot hear me right now. But for those of you who are here, I'm gonna wrap up shortly after the ad, which I feel bad about, so I'll yap for a little bit longer. Yeah, I'm getting sleepy as well. Crossover should be a sign-off for the end of a crafting event. Oh, like, crossover. That's kind of funny. What is this random... you can't see my iPad right now for whatever reason, but there's just this one random little stitch. Now, you see that? Oh, then it's gone again. Come back. Come back. There we go. What is this random one doing there? Why? I guess I'll stitch it, but why? Okay, well, I think it needs to be over... Should be in line at the bottom of this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, hopefully this is right. Just chillin'. Yeah, random stitch is just chillin'. Welcome back from ads, and sorry that you went to ads, folks who did. I meant to snooze that ad so you wouldn't get it that time, because I'm gonna wrap up soon. I didn't want you to have to sit through another ad right before I wrap up, so sorry and thank you for that. But yeah, I'm just about to finish up this piece of floss, and thinking I'm gonna call it a night after that. I do have the aforementioned Cowboys game to watch, but also I'm getting sleepy. I'm getting sleepy from like looking at the stitches and looking at the screens. Feels like a sleepy day, right? We had a couple of people like sign off a little early tonight to go to bed. Are there other people feeling as sleepy as me? It's a sleepy Monday, yeah. The ads blasted. What? Oh, like noise-wise? If that's what you meant, I'm so sorry. I hate that on like terrestrial TV when commercials are so much louder than the content. So I'm sorry. Well, okay, everyone's sleepy. It's a sleepy, sleepy Monday. Yeah, it was kind of like gray and sleepy here today. It was mostly windy. So windy. The wind chill made it like 15 degrees colder than it was. I had to put on gloves just to walk between two buildings. Like I wasn't even walking that far at all. I was like, nope, I'm putting my gloves on. It is too cold with this wind. Oh, whole afternoon was a seminar at work for Sarah, and that was putting you to sleep, I assume. Oh wait, this is so frustrating that I only have like 3 stitches left. I don't think I can make it work. I gotta take care of these. Is it 3? Yeah, it's 3 more. But look, I don't have. Ugh, that's so annoying. I can do 1 more maybe. Let's see how far we can take this. No, I can't even get this one in if I want to actually finish it on the back here. Ugh, bummer. I'm gonna have to cut just like a little small bit of yellow sometime. Not tonight. Just to fix that. Yeah, Wolf Shadow, you mentioned that you're on some kind of like crafting trip, cross-stitching vacation. That sounds so... Is it like just you took time off and are focusing on crafting, or are you on like... I keep getting ads for like a cross-stitch cruise. Is that what you're doing? If you feel comfortable sharing. What you said intrigued me. But oh, Sarah, I was gonna say, I felt similarly. I was like doing work stuff earlier and just like, oops, falling asleep. And then when I took a little break to do things I wanted to do, suddenly I had energy. Funny how that happens. Ugh. I really do like how this yellow and the blue look together. Maybe I should remember what these floss numbers are, and next time I'm designing something, maybe consider... Actually, I had a design in my mind that I was thinking would be like blue and yellow. Blue and yellow. Maybe these would be the right colors for it. I really want to just design a little something that says "Don't Cry, Craft." And I still need to think of like what the finished product would be. Like what would I put it on or use it for? And then the font I have in my mind is not one that I'm good at doing. So that's a ways off, but I really want to do that. Yeah, it's a good motto as a crafter and a fanny. I am getting a new suit, and the like place that I went where you can kind of tailor it has a thing where you can get, they call it a monogram on the inside, but it's really, you can get any text up to 24 characters embroidered. And I was so close to doing "Don't Cry, Craft" because I just couldn't think of what to put instead. I ended up doing something else that I've been thinking about cross-stitching. But yeah, I was like, what if I just do "Don't Cry, Craft"? It'd be so funny. It'd be like at a formal event and like open up my jacket and it just says "Don't Cry, Craft." Okay, Wolf Shadow took the time off, rented a cabin in the middle of nowhere. It's just yourself in front of a fire. That sounds amazing. Oh, I'm so jealous. That sounds like the life. What a way to live. Just like rent a cabin by yourself in the middle of the nowhere and spend the whole time crafting. That's so good. Wow. Might we all indulge in the vibes that Wolf Shadow is enjoying right now? That is my wish for all of us, to one day have an experience on that level. Okay. I don't think we're gonna raid tonight because I am simply so tired. And even though it is a virtually social energy to like chat, I just don't quite feel like I have that in me, because I always like to stick around for a little, like after I raid, even though streamers are always like, oh, like you go rest. I'm like, no, I wanna hang out for a little bit. And I am quite sleepy tonight, so we will raid next time, which will be December. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the calendar. My calendar is blocked by junk right now. Not helpful, but yeah, because I will not be here next week. I won't be streaming, rather, next week. I'm looking at a calendar of October right now. No wonder it's not making sense. Wow, I'm tired and need to update my calendar. But yeah, won't be streaming next week, so it'll be December. It'll be Stitchmas next time I see you. I don't know what that'll mean. I did just realize, though, that I am wearing a red sweater and have green lights, so it looks kind of Christmassy already. I did the green for Emerald City. Also, I talked about setting up lights. I set up lights today. They're kind of a temporary experimental version because I'm using borrowed lights and masking tape. I wanted to see if I liked how it is before I bought things. But it's fun. I can make them any color, but I'm not going to change them now because actually they were kind of messing up when I was trying to change the colors before. But yay, green for Emerald City. And lights are exciting, and it'll be Christmas next time. Oh, Sarah says Rototo, who we raided last time, is live. Oh, that makes me feel like I should raid. I'm just gonna recommend Rototo, because like I said, my social battery is weirdly low for having just been, like not been in person. I guess I was in person with people earlier today. Anyways, I will recommend. Can I do the shout out thing? I'll shout out Rototo. For anyone who was here last week, that's who we rated, or last time. And he's great. He does crocheting or knitting, and just such good vibes. I think he's a professor. And how do you do a shout out? Is it a slash or a exclamation point? We'll find out. Slash. Okay, thanks. Shout out. Does that work? Yeah, okay. In case you needed it. But yeah, if anyone is still crafting and still wants to vibe, go check out Rototo. I really like him. I was a fan before we raided last time. Ooh, Melby Toast did a little artist retreat in Iceland. Oh, Rogan did one. It was fun, but slightly frustrating because people ate up a lot of. Oh, yeah. The what is it, like step up, stand back, or whatever that like facilitation motto is. I think is especially helpful in artist spaces sometimes. But anyways, I've been saying goodbye for 15 minutes. And I did not feel I didn't feel pressured, Sarah. Don't worry. Thank you so much for noticing, though, and for the recommendation. And hopefully some people go hang out there. And the rest of you, it is a Midwest goodbye, Foxco, totally. The rest of you, all of you, hopefully, whoever wants to, I'll see you in December. Have a nice rest of November. To the Americans, enjoy the complicated upcoming holiday. And I hope you are all as well as one can be in these times. And enjoy all of your crafting thoroughly. All right. Good night, everyone.